Commercial banks play a vital role in the economy. They not only provide a necessary service to consumers, but they also help to create capital and liquidity in the market. Commercial banks are for-profit banks that perform essential financial services, such as deposit taking, savings, lending, and many others. Africa has a total of 763 commercial banks, and some countries have more banks than others as expected. There are many banks in Africa that are considered to be among the best on the continent, as they operate in at least 10 countries on the continent. Some of these banks include Standard Bank, Absa Group, FirstRand, Ecobank, Nedbank, United Bank for Africa, Zenith Bank, Guaranty Trust Bank, Access Bank, and Standard Chartered Bank. So in today's video, we shall be focusing on the 10 African countries with the highest number of commercial banks. Now, it's important to note that having a wide array of commercial banks does not always translate to a stronger or better banking systems. Without wasting much of your time, let's dive right into the video. 10. Senegal. According to the Central Bank of West African States, Senegal has 26 registered banks, 16 of which are commercial banks. Senegal's banking sector has attracted several foreign entrants eager to exploit Dakar as a regional hub. The Central Bank of West African States supervises and regulates these banks. These banks finance themselves largely out of deposits, with limited debt issuance, keeping leverage in check. Some popular banks in Senegal include Banque Atlantique, Bank of Africa, and Ecobank. In Senegal, Société Générale won the Best Bank Award. With about 40 branches, the bank works on funding projects like infrastructural development, as well as key sectors like oil and gas, mining, and manufacturing. It has a dominant position in the banking industry with a clientele of about 177,000 people. The public's lack of understanding of the value of finance poses challenges for the banking system and lowers demand for saving products. Insufficient banking service penetration, low capital markets, and high cost of banking services are some other problems faced by banks. 9. South Africa. South Africa is a great example of an organized banking system with consistent economic growth, like the United States. It has several types of banks functioning there, including mutual banks, cooperative banks, foreign banks, private banks, commercial banks, merchant banks, with more than 5 trillion rand in assets. These South African banks provide retail and commercial banking services, as well as merchant banking, investment banking, and wealth management services around the world. According to the Reserve Bank of South Africa has 18 commercial banks. Standard Bank is the top bank in South Africa with more than 16 million clients in 2023. In assets, Standard Bank Group Limited is the largest lender in Africa, and it operates in more than 20 nations. They provide services such as fixed income, currencies, commodities, and equities to the global market. It is one of the banks in Africa with one of the highest labor rates, with over 50,000 workers as of today. Some other banks in the country include Absa Group Limited, African Merchant Bank Limited, and Barclays Africa Group Limited. For South African consumers and businesses, hard times are anticipated to come from high inflation, rising interest rates, and a falling South African rand, which will slow down economic activity and reduce demand for financial services. 8. Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has a sophisticated banking system modeled after the British system. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is the central bank responsible for monetary policy after years of dollarization, with the reintroduction of Zimbabwean dollars in 2019. The rest of the banking system is made up of commercial banks, which are the largest subsector, merchant banks, which finance commerce, underwrite rights issues of listed companies, and aid in mergers and acquisitions. Out of the 19 licensed banks in Zimbabwe, 14 are commercial banks. Stanbic Bank, one of the best banks in Zimbabwe, is a member of Standard Bank Group, which operates in about 20 countries in Africa and 12 in other parts of the world. According to publications, high borrowing rates, poor savings culture, absence of lender of last resort, and systemic risk are the predominant challenges that Zimbabwe's banking sector faces. Some other banks in Zimbabwe include Agribank, African Century Bank, Bank ABC, and many others. 7. Zambia. There currently are 19 fully fledged commercial banks in Zambia, according to the latest data from the Bank of Zambia. Standard Chartered Bank Zambia is one of the leading banks in Zambia, with an excellent charter. The bank has 17 branches spread across Zambia, with branches in the Copperbelt, Lusaka, Northern, Southern, and Western provinces. Standard Chartered Bank is the only international bank in that country that is listed on the Lusaka Stock Exchange. It has also been ranked the most profitable bank in the country for the last 3 years. Prior to the onset of the pandemic, Zambia was already grappling with challenges that included fiscal strain occasioned by the country's debt repayment commitments, the effects of power shortages, exchange rate fragility, and rising inflation. Other commercial banks include Access Bank Zambia, AB Bank, African Banking Corporation, Bank of China, and many more. Let's take a break. Hope you find this video interesting. Encourage us to keep making videos like this by liking and subscribing to the New Tourist channel. Turn on notifications too, so you get notified whenever we upload videos like this. Let's continue. 6. Ghana. In Ghana's banking and financial sector, there are 28 private banks and 23 of these banks are commercial banks. The Bank of Ghana is Ghana's central financial authority. Ghana Commercial Bank is the largest bank in the country in terms of total operating assets and share of industry deposits. It boasts about 2,500 employees and has over 1.5 million monthly active bank accounts and more than 180 physical branches. Other commercial banks in Ghana include Absa Bank, Access Bank, Fidelity Bank Limited, and First Atlantic Bank Limited. Ghana's banking sector has gone through a challenging period in recent years, weathering an economic downturn and a rising tide of non-performing loans. While unmanageable debts have sabotaged the sector's stability and remain a key challenge, the country's lenders continue to grow their assets and remain wealthy. 5. Nigeria. The Nigerian financial system is controlled and regulated by the Central Bank of Nigeria. This country's banking system includes 24 commercial banks, 860 microfinance banks, 5 discount houses, 64 finance firms, and 5 development finance banks. The Central Bank of Nigeria regulates all the activities of the banks and financial organizations. Zenith Bank is considered as one of the leading banks in Nigeria that provides corporate, investment, and retail banking products and services to Nigerians. Zenith Bank has more than 500 branches and business offices in all states and the Federal Capital Territory, with more than 1.6 million customers, 500 branches, and a shareholder base of more than 500,000 Zenith Bank. Some other banks include Fidelity Bank, Access Bank, and First Bank of Nigeria. According to a report from Renaissance Capital, Nigerian banks were on the radar to face some difficulties in 2022, which included increased effective tax rates, historically low interest rates, and competition from TELCOS, a telecommunications service provider and financial technology, better known as FINTCHS. 4. Uganda. Uganda has 26 commercial banks. The Bank of Uganda's major goal is to promote price stability and a strong financial system. It also serves a critical role as a center of excellence in maintaining macroeconomic stability in collaboration with other institutions. The best bank in Uganda is the Centenary Bank, serving over 2.4 million customers and 3,000 employees. Its services are available through its 58 branches and a nationwide network of more than 130 ATMs. Some of the challenges identified by some banks in the country include riskiness of assets, low volume of trade activity, lack of market efficiency, and market incompleteness, one-person control, financing outside financial markets, etc. Some other banks in the country include ABC Bank, Absa Bank, Afriland First Bank, Bank of Africa, and so on. 3. Tanzania. The Bank of Tanzania is in charge of regulating and overseeing all banks, financial institutions, and bureau de change in Tanzania. The National Microfinance Limited Bank has bagged the Best Bank in Tanzania 2022 award, thanks to its strong financial performance momentum and its innovative digital solutions. The National Microfinance Bank is accessed by over 6 million customers and employs over 3,400 staff. The bank is listed on the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange in Tanzania. Within Tanzania, banking coverage is sparse. This is due to high levels of poverty, which is a particular problem in the large rural areas of the country. Within these regions, there are very poor facilities, and no consistency in the banking services are provided. According to the Bank of Tanzania, Tanzania has 34 commercial banks. 2. Egypt. The Egyptian banking sector currently consists of 39 banks, which are classified into 4 peer groups by the Central Bank of Egypt based on their holdings and activity, making Egypt the second country with the most commercial banks. The National Bank of Egypt is the largest bank in Egypt and has an extensive network of 615 branches, offices, and banking units nationwide, serving nearly 17.8 million customers. Some other commercial banks in Egypt include Egyptian Arab Land Bank, National Bank of Egypt, Principal Bank for Development, and Agricultural Credit. Challenges affecting the banking system in Egypt are the weakness of the Banking Density Index, the high degree of banking and geographical concentration of banks, weakness individual incomes levels, and high rates of inflation. 1. Kenya. Kenya is Africa's #1 commercial banking center because of its market diversification. Kenya has a diverse range of financial organizations that have been authorized by the central bank to conduct banking transactions on behalf of customers, except for Islamic banks, which are controlled by the Central Bank of Kenya under Sharia law. The Central Bank of Kenya regulates Kenyan banks. Kenya currently has 42 commercial banks in operation. Although the banking industry has played and continues to play a critical role in facilitating world economic development, the industry continues to face a number of challenges. The main challenges are non-performing loans, global fiscal difficulties, poor leadership, and sustainability pressure. Some banks in the commercial sector in Kenya include Kenya Commercial Bank Group, Investments and Mortgages Bank Limited, Imperial Bank Limited, and Giro Commercial Bank Limited. It is thanks to globalization and modernization that a growing number of commercial banks in Africa operate entirely online, just like commercial banks in other continents. These banks, which do not have physical facilities, may not be able to provide a broader range of products and services to their consumers at a cheaper cost or none. In order to compete and measure up to banks in other continents, they have to be ready to incorporate business models, which will enable them become platforms that will be providing an evolving mix of business products and services, and integrating vertically and horizontally across the value chain. Assessing the challenges faced by various banks in Africa, it can be deduced that the major problem is the people's low income, poor attitude towards saving and acquiring loans. This difficulty, which may cause a collapse in the banking system, will affect the whole continent, if not redressed. We have come to the end of this video. Do you think if African countries have more commercial banks, it will help in developing the African continent? Feel free to give us your thoughts in the comment section. Also, like and subscribe to the New Tourist channel, and do not forget to turn on notifications so you get notified whenever we upload videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you in our next video.